know that when you have a purpose and a calling on your life, there's nothing that nobody, and nothing can happen. I am Angela C. Wright.
Over the top, the gotcha.
He said your numbers has shrunk. He said, I don't know how, why.
You're not gonna get you're gonna have to have mounds of security for me because you're not gonna get me.
If I wasn't depressed and going through what I was going through, I probably would have never started.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Break Free with your girl Free. And today I have Miss Make It Happen with me that gets the job done. Y'all help me welcome Ashaunna Ayars.
Hi everybody. Thank you for having me.
Girl, no.
And congratulations.
Thank you
on
so
all the
much.
things. The
all
podcast,
things.
the doctorate, all the things.
Oh,
congratulations
yeah,
on all the things.
Thanks so much, Sean.
Yes.
I really appreciate it. So y'all have heard me say several times, like, talk about Ashaunna and what she is to me and, you know, everything. Y'all see the water, but, you know, I just want to tell you again, like, I'm super thankful for you, super blessed. Like, you are an angel in my life. And I know you don't like recognition. I know you don't really like it, but I just have to tell you that I honestly love you, and I thank you for pouring into me. I thank you for believing in me, and I thank you for pouring into my vision.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, you know, yeah, thank you.
No, I in 2024, like I told Tamara, she was here, you're going to have to pop your stuff just a little bit harder in 2024, like, because Shauna, like, you know, I always tell you, like, you were super, you know, big deal. The
Thank
building
you.
that, you know, podcast is hosted in, is here at her building. So what is that like being a owner of like a building like in a really good location, Midtown? This is prime real estate. Like, how did you feel about that when you signed those papers?
I feel like, well, first, let me just say, I appreciate you. I'm really inspired by, attracted to women who are hustlers and go-getters and like defy the odds. And so for me, being a part of this journey is like inspiring as well, because when you ask like, what is it like to own a building or to sign those papers? It's like, I am not the most fearless, confident person in the world, but I do it afraid or do it scared or do it anyway. You know what I mean? And so it was nerve-wracking. I don't have experience buying multi-million-dollar real estate. Nobody in my family does. I don't have a rule book for that. I just did it anyway because I felt like I needed a home base. I needed a place where I could get my creativity out. I wanted to build a team of rock star young women marketers and wanted us to have a home to do that, to build this agency that I'm building. And I just did it afraid. And so I was very nervous, but did it anyway.
Yeah, but did it anyway. Yeah.
But did it anyway.
But that day, like when you got the key, Shauna, like how did it feel? Because you're so nonchalant about everything.
I was proud. It was a very proud moment because, like I said, there's no rule book that I've seen for this. Not in my family or even in my immediate circle. I have some amazing women around me, but some of the things that I'm doing or spaces that I'm in are like uncharted territories for my friend group or my community. And so it was a proud moment. Like I did it. Like one, I didn't waste this money on no shoes and bags.
Because, baby, we know you got shoes and bags for days.
I did, like, below the bag.
Yeah.
But, like, I really invested in something that I believe in, and that is building my business and building my business with women who look like me. So us having a home and being able to share that, right?
Yeah.
Like, being able to say, yo, Free, you want to do this podcast? I got a space for you. Or anybody else who looks like me who has a vision or a dream that just needs a resource or some support. It was a proud moment. Like I could do this, and I could bring a bunch of chicks who look like me along for the ride.
Right, and you know, Shauna, you have a very unselfish spirit. Like where does that come from? Because you're unselfish in everything. I pay attention to you. You know what I mean? Whether I'm around you or if I'm talking to somebody, the things they say about Ashaunna, and it always comes back to me that you're very unselfish.
Thank you. I think it comes from, like, there's people who've helped me, right? Like, I haven't done this by myself. There's definitely people in my life who may have been in the same industry that I'm in, done the same work that I do. But most of the time it's people who are not, who just see again, like another young Black girl who's trying to get it and has said, like, I'll help you. And particularly men. Like, I work in a very male-dominated industry, and a lot of times people ask me, what's it like being in the music business? It's so male-dominated. Or what's it like being in these rooms and you're the only woman? And the truth is, like, I feel like being a woman is my superpower. And I've had a lot of people, particularly men, who've said, like, I'm gonna take a shot on you, like I'm a bet on you. And so for me, it's like I can't keep getting those blessings and not pay it forward, right? Especially if it does nothing to me to say, here, I got you, right? It only makes me feel good, and it only allows for the next girl to say, okay, that's a great girl gang over there, and they doing it. I want to get my girl gang together too. So I think it comes from, one, having that support and having people in my life who've been that for me. But also, like, I just like seeing, I'm attracted to dope women and dope people. So I want that around me all the time.
That's
so if you got something I can do for you, like, I want, come on, let's do it together.
But, everybody, especially women, because, we have the reputation of we can't get along or we can't do anything together. So that's like a whole nother aspect, that you are able to see something in somebody and pull it out of or push them forward.
Yeah. I mean, that drives me, right? Like, that's where I get my fuel. I get fuel from seeing, like, Free said, I want to do a podcast, and next week there was like a set and lights and stuff happening. And I'm like, shoot, I want to do something. That's almost like accountability influence, right? Like, you want to do something, you want to get it done. That is like the pressure, good pressure for me to, like, I got a dream or I got a vision, make it happen. Make it happen.
Because you know what I noticed too, like, even if I'm not around you, I met somebody the other night, but I said, I'm not going to tell you who I met until Christmas Eve. Did not tell you, but it makes me feel good when I meet somebody that I do not know, and they be like, oh, Ashaunna told me about you, and she told me, like, you're a real hustler, you a go-getter or whatever.
That's inspiring for me, because again, like, when you don't see people in those spaces that look like you, to find somebody that has that same hustle or grit or like drive, it only drives you. It only drives me for sure. Like, to see somebody like, oh, she getting it, I gotta step my game up. Like, it's some amazing young women out here that are doing amazing things, like going into uncharted waters, that inspire me. Like, that puts a fire in me, for real. Not from a competitive space, but from a, like, motivated space.
And also like a mentor without being a mentor.
100%. 100%. I like keeping people like that around me, because it only makes me go harder. Because you can get very comfortable in a certain space. Like, you can get,
especially when your bank account got a lot of zeros in it.
Right. Or you just, like, you're comfortable, right? You can get up and go do whatever you want to do. Your family is good. Your bills are paid, and you can get comfortable in that space. But when you see someone else going that 10 steps further, it's like, oh no, I ain't got no time to sleep.
Yeah, none at all. So the AYARS Agency, how did it come about?
So the AYARS Agency came about, there's a few different, like, seeds that were planted to start the AYARS Agency. I worked in the music industry for a number of years, and we're building the careers of artists. And I was just getting my salary, but I was seeing, like, these artists come in my office as, virtually unknowns, and, like, leaving multi-platinum successful. They're doing movies, they're starting clothing lines, and, like, my check was growing, but it wasn't, I was seeing the managers who I was, like, helping write emails because they couldn't put a sentence together, like, just become really successful. And so that started making me think, like, I am not participating in the success of what I'm doing in the way that I should.
Right.
But I didn't know what that needed to look like. So that was one piece of it, like, just starting to understand my value, right? Like, okay,
I bring a lot to the table.
I'm getting, like, maybe I went from senior director to VP and SVP, but this manager just bought a boat in Zimbabwe. Like, something ain't right. And then it's funny, God will, like, push you when you're, like, vacillating and you're not, like, walking in your purpose for real. God will do something to force you to do that. And so my mom had gotten sick. My mom was living in Atlanta, She had gotten sick, and I was still like, working at the record company, but I started to manage on the side. So while I was on the corporate side working at the labels, I started to manage some of those artists because I started to see like I need to get on the management side. I need to get some commissions.
Yeah.
But then my mom got sick, and I was like, I can't be here in New York working and hustling. And my mom is not well. My mom is going through a cancer battle. And so I quit my job and moved to Atlanta. Like one day I walked into my boss's office. I was like, I gotta go. I'm moving to Atlanta. My mom is sick. She's about to start treatment. I'm gonna go be with her. But I still needed to earn a living. And so those like kind of side hustle management clients that I had, that became my full-time business.
Okay.
And so I was kind of forced into entrepreneurship and leaving the idea of I have my corporate job and the side hustle, and my side hustle now being my main career. And that's really how it was formed. It was the idea that I knew I wasn't participating in the success in the way that I should have. Like I wasn't getting the benefit of my work the way I should have. But then also like I had a personal agenda with taking care of my mom that forced me to make that my priority.
Yeah. So, like, when you left, you just did it cold turkey. Like,
cold turkey.
And you were at Def Jam.
I was at Atlantic Records at the time.
Okay.
So I had left Def Jam a few years prior and went to Atlantic Records for a better position. And I was there for about 2 years when this happened. And so yeah, I was like, oh, I gotta go. I got, my family is first.
Yeah.
And so again, I think like, and my mom's fine. Thank God. She's perfectly healthy, probably healthier than me. But yeah, it forced me to really prioritize this business, and it's been a blessing. It's not easy, but it's been a blessing.
And the AYARS Agency does what? Like,
the AYARS Agency is an entertainment marketing firm. So we do marketing across the gamut. We do influencer marketing. We do experiential marketing. We do marketing strategy. We do brand partnerships. We do content development. So a lot of the things that I did on the record company side, I just took those skills, those relationships, and built an agency around it.
Yeah. And how hard is it coming to the table as a woman in a male dominant? Like, I know you feel like it's your superpower, but I'm pretty sure it's time you in certain meetings, in certain rooms, and they're like kind of giving you like the side eye.
Oh yeah. There's definitely times where people will try, and it's not just men. Sometimes it's our sisters too.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of times where you come into a room and people discredit you. They don't believe that you should be at the same table as them, right? Because maybe you look a certain way or you talk a certain way. I have a heavy New York accent. I'm usually in sneakers and sweats. But a lot of times they discredit you because of how you show up or what they think someone in your position should look like or should sound like. But again, usually that is your superpower if you use it right? Like a lot of times people will show you their hand where they don't think that you have the intelligence or the experience to be in certain rooms. And that is the information you use against them. So happens a lot. But I feel like usually when someone approaches me or I'm in a situation like that, it always works to my benefit because when someone sleeps on you, that's when you come knock their head off. You knock their head off.
And you like that quiet killer. Like, I ain't even finna say much. I'm just finna show you and then we're going to see you in the end.
Yeah. When you see that contract revision or those red lines or that offer or whatever it is, it'll, that's when their mind is blown. But usually they, when they sleep, you're in the best position when somebody's sleeping on you.
Right, because you got a chance to show them, like, okay, this is what it is. Yeah. And you've been able to not only build relationships, but keep those relationships because everybody loves Ashaunna. Everybody loves Ashaunna.
I hope that's the case. I think in the business that I'm in, it's definitely your relationship equity is important. And even sometimes more than money. And so when you can call somebody to do something for you that money can't buy, that really is also a big asset.
Yeah.
And so relationships are important. Managing those relationships, nurturing them, not being somebody that just calls somebody when they need something or just calling for an ask. Also saying, how can I help you? And making those relationships mutually beneficial is something that I learned early on and I practice regularly. Because again, I am a young woman, no investors, building a business. And so
you didn't have no investors
no
at
investors. And a lot of my relationship equity is what has allowed us to sustain. And a lot of times that's worth more than money. There's a lot of times when I'm negotiating deals and I'll say like, the money's not as important as what the long-term relationship could look like. So, so yeah, that's super important to me, that relationship equity.
And what do you instill that into your team? Like, what is one thing that that your team know Ashaunna does not play about?
All money ain't good money. Yeah, I mean, again, like, there's certain opportunities that come to us. I probably say more no's than yeses, only because all money ain't good money, and everything that, every opportunity that comes to you may not fit your spirit, fit your mission and purpose, who you are, what you want your legacy to be, what you want your brand identity to be. So they know it's like, if it's something that we're doing, it's something that I'm passionate about and I can stand on, whether the check is big or not.
Has there ever been a time where you deviated from that and
100%? Oh my God!
Tell me about a
100%.
time you deviated from it and you felt like you paid for it.
So there was a big magazine brand. So we do a lot of marketing in entertainment and culture, right? People who look like us, talk like us, brands that want to be in front of our community. But as a company, like, you can't, you want to scale, you want to grow, you got to step outside of your community and the projects or the businesses that you're comfortable with. And so I was really eager to do a campaign with this brand. And I did it. And it was like something that I felt would look so good on our resume and so good on our website. And was like, oh my God, we did, something for this brand. And the money was okay. But again, like, for me, it's like, it's the relationship equity, it's the opportunity. But these people, the team, their team didn't respect us as real events people, as real experiential leaders, as a real agency. I think they were checking we got to hire a Black agency box. And so the experience working with them was horrible, and they treated my team horrible. And that was like a reminder that all money ain't good money, and all opportunities aren't necessarily the best, even if you think it looks good on paper. Because the way that they treated us was like, they showed us how much they didn't respect who we are. And that's something that I never tolerate from my team. And so no amount of this looks good on paper or on our resume will allow me to say, we'll deal with this. We'll let them talk to us crazy. We'll let us treat them like this because this looks good on our resume.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. And then you feel like after that you learn from it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's like, if you don't, I'll never
do
do that again. Like, if you don't respect who we are as an agency, if you don't respect us in the same way you would respect a Ogilvy or a White and Kennedy, like, we can't work with you, because we are just as good, if not better, than some of those big corporate white agencies. And so yeah, that's like something I will never do. If you don't see me for real, and if I feel like you're just checking we need a minority agency box, I won't work with you.
What's one of the projects that y'all have done that you've been most proud of? I know it's a lot, but one that you've been like, you sat back and you looked at it. And I know one for me that I seen since I've been home was the way you did the swarm. The boxes. Like, I seen Jason Lee open the box and I was like, oh, that's dope. You know what I mean? It was cute. But
that was a good one. Yeah, we do a lot of really cool campaigns. There's a campaign, a content campaign that is out on social right now for a new show that BT just launched called Miss Pat Settles It. Okay. And it's a court show. So Miss Pat is a comedian. So similar to like Steve Harvey, who's a comedian in a court show. He's not like a real comedian, but has comedic tone for a court show. She has one, and she, reviews like court cases in her way. And so we kind of did the celebrity version of that show, and we had Halo taking his dad 2 Chainz to court, and we had Saucy Santana taking Carisha to court, and we had Nene taking Tammy to court. And so just that campaign was really fun because it allowed us to lean into our relationships with talent. We shot like an amazing piece of content. That was fun, and it's doing really well socially. That's good. And then another one is Strength of a Woman Festival, building a festival.
What was that like? Building that, because that was huge.
Yeah,
it was
scary. A multi-day, multi-activation festival in Atlanta, which I'm not from. I live here now, but I'm not from here. So in a city that is not mine, that I didn't grow up in, with, so many things, so many events, so many people. It was scary, but do it anyway, right? Do it scared. So that was great, just to like see, like just a vision start from nothing, just like build and grow and evolve, and a number of women that we were able to employ, the number of women we were able to inspire, the number of women that we had attending that just left feeling good, and knowing that our intention and our mission and purpose was met was like,
Dope.
that was a great one.
So when you did the Strength of a Woman, did you hire like all women?
Yeah,
staff?
we hired only minority women vendors,
Wow.
only women staff. Our lineup for year one was all women. Everybody that performed on the stage across those 3 days were women.
That was your goal when you set out, like when y'all talked about it?
Yeah, because there's so many women in spaces like me that are male dominated. So even like from the people who did the lighting in the arenas to the people who were women, the people who were like behind the, production boards, the people who, our publicist was a woman, our lawyer was a woman, like everybody who like touched that festival was a woman, a minority woman in particular.
And then the feedback, how good did that make you feel like, because it's a lot when it's going on,
God,
you put it from here and there. Yeah.
Great. No, it was like, all the blood, sweat, and tears was worth it. Like, it was like, they got it, like, it's because it's one thing to have a vision for something and try to execute it. And sometimes you miss, like, you don't hit every basket. Sometimes you could have the purest intention, you could put all the work in, and sometimes you might miss.
Yeah.
But to nail it, and for people to feel and like connect with what your intention was like,
so
the best feeling ever.
how does Ashaunna deal with like failure when you feel like you fail, or with disappointment, know? Like, are you hard on yourself?
I am. I'm really hard on myself. And I really try to not allow my team to see it, which is not good because you bottle it.
Yeah.
Right? So having an outlet for that frustration or disappointment is necessary. I haven't figured that out yet. That's something I'm still working on. But yeah, I'm hard on myself. I'm hard on myself because also when I say like I do it scared, there's also there's also insecurity that comes with that. Like, can I do this? Am I supposed to be here? Like, there's what they call it, imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
I'm human, right? So we go through and we feel those things. But for me, it's like I will never let my team feel that.
You don't let anybody feel that. You know what I mean? So you saying that now is not, like, I can imagine that there's some, sense of fear when taking on huge projects and, doing things. But Shauna, you wear it well. Like it'll never show. But like on the other side too, you do have to find a way to deal with that. Yeah. Within your own self, even if it's when you're on vacation, putting the computer down, because you'll be on vacation and still have a computer, or going to the spa, or just getting away, but finding a way to like release that.
Yeah. How do you deal with that? How do you deal with like you're in spaces that people may not think you should be in, or that maybe sometimes you second guess yourself, like, can I do this? Should I be doing? Like, how do you deal with and things that you may have great intentions for that may not work in the way that you want them to? How do you deal with that?
So what I do now, how I deal with it now is I notice when I'm off, when I'm off kilter, I notice, and I try not to be around, especially people that I love. I try not to be around people because I tend to snap out, But what I do, I take my shoes off and I go in the backyard and walk barefoot across the grass. You know what I mean? Like grounding myself, and then I just ask God to replenish me, re-strengthen me. Yeah. And, sometimes I cry. And, I'm so tough, people feel like I don't cry. Yeah. But there are times that I do cry, and then I just have to tell myself, go back to my journals, go back to what I believe in. I always tell myself, Shay, if you made it through prison, you can make it through this. Yeah. If they kept telling you no then, and eventually a yes came, I just leaned back onto what past experience was, But like in prison, I ain't gonna lie, it was hard, Shauna, getting denied, because it's just like, especially with President Obama, it's like he has this initiative. He's Black. He know that drug laws are offensively, you know, harsh.
Yeah.
And I fit the criteria.
Yeah.
I am the poster child, you know. So for me to be denied not once but twice by the Obama administration, it was heart-wrenching.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, wait a minute. And then I gave a girl my clemency application, right? That wasn't even gonna fill it out. And I told her, I said, well, just copy it and change my son's name to your daughter's name. Change my name to your name, you know, because she didn't know how to do it. And it was a deadline. And I always help anybody. She got it, and I didn't. So that really was like, I called my father boo-hoo crying, you know, because I couldn't understand.
Yeah.
And he was like, hold on. We ain't doing that today. We 10 years in now. Like, you know, okay, it ain't your time. It was her time, and take that. But that was a hard one to swallow. But I laid there for like 3 days, and then I got up, had to dust myself off, wash my face, and be like, okay, what's next? How I'm gonna figure it out? How I'm gonna, you know, go from here? But sometimes you have to be, as much as you're hard on yourself, you have to be your best encourager. You know what I mean? And you have to rely on the past victories and the past times that you went through something extremely hard, like dealing with your mom with the cancer. That was really hard for you. Yeah. But you got through it. Yeah. So when things come now and you go through them, you have to rely on that. Okay, I got through that. I could get through this. Yeah. You know? And then just continue to push forward. Yeah. Yeah. So like growing up in New York, what was life like for Ashaunna?
I was a hip hop kid in New York. I was super mature. So I have 3 sisters. And my younger sisters, I was like the big sister. So I was taking them to school. I was picking them up. I was helping with homework. My mom was a corrections officer. She did 20 years in the Department of Corrections, Rikers Island. And so she worked a lot. She was a single mom, taking care of her girls. And so I was big sister. And so I was super mature as a young kid, teen, tween growing up in New York. But I always loved music. Like I was always into music. So I would sit hours watching videos. Video music box, Video Soul, The Box, like I was like a video rap. I was a video kid. Like I wanted to be in the videos. Like,
I wanted to be a dancer.
I was like I was a hip hop kid, but super mature. Like I feel like I, you know, was 7, 8 years old taking care of my younger siblings, or 10 on the city bus going to school, because I went to Catholic school. They didn't have a bus that came to pick us up. I was on the city bus at 10 with my little sister who was 4 going to preschool, figuring it out. So like I was a latchkey kid. I was a hip hop kid. I loved music. I grew up in Queens. I love Queens. I love Queens. I was a hip hop kid.
Back then, did you know, like, I want to be a part of the music industry?
Early on, I did. So I had a friend who was in a singing group, and she was managed by a guy who worked at Bad Boy at the time. And so this is Bad Boy 94, 95. So this is like the height of big, puff, shiny suits, Versace.
Yeah, Mary,
this is like prime music industry time. And so I was able to see like the music industry up close and personal. So I would go to the Bad Boy office with her. I would go to the video shoots or photo shoots, and just being exposed to young Black people who look like me, who were young, who were creating culture, right? Who were like, somebody who looked like me was behind the camera directing the video, or styling them, or in the studio making the songs, or making decisions about those videos that I saw on television, or just like creating culture. And I'm like, wow, like I want to do that. Like, what is that? What is that? What is that? How do you get to do that? And so I went to a high school that had a program called Co-op, and you had to log work hours in an industry that you were passionate about to get your final graduation credits. And so a lot of my friends were going to law offices because they wanted to be lawyers, or doctor's offices because they wanted to be doctors. And I'm like, well, how do I get my internship at a record company? Because I want to do what I see Puffy doing. I want to do that. And so I wrote the curriculum for my grade advisor and like made it make sense so that I could go to a record company. And so I started interning in the music industry when I was a junior in high school. So I started like really early, 15, 16. I was like at Atlantic Records interning, and then I started interning.
How did you get them to accept that internship?
Prayer. I don't know. I was a hustler. I was figuring it out. Like, I literally had to write the curriculum because they're like, okay, this is a record company. They make music. You know, like, how do you learn math? How are you learning, you know, like, how are you getting these credits? And I don't know what I put together, some type of spreadsheet I put together, but I made my grade advisor believe that I was, and I did. Like, I got real work life experience. But yeah, I was a hustler. I got the yellow pages. I took all my CDs and I got the back. I went to the back of the CD, like what label? Atlantic, Bad Boy, Columbia. I like went to the yellow page, got the phone numbers, was calling people like, hi, I'm a junior in high school and I have to do an internship. Can I come work? At the time, internships were really popular. So it was a lot easier than now. Now there's all these rules and labor laws and all of that. But in 94, that didn't exist. So it was much easier.
So, Shauna, what could you say have been the hardest lesson you had to learn thus far?
The hardest lesson. Oh my God, I've learned so many lessons. Early on, like the lessons as I was like growing my career in the music industry as a marketer was protecting my IP. And so there's lots of things that you do as a marketer, and I'm talking to a lot of creatives. That's like, I'm creative, so the ideas just flow. There's no way to measure your idea, right, initially. But I know early on I started to understand like what those ideas were really worth and the value of my creativity and so I don't know if this was a bad lesson. This was like a good lesson as I launched my company. But early on as a marketer at Def Jam, I had an artist that Jeezy that I was working on, and you know, he used to call himself the Snowman. And when we were trying to think of like cool creative marketing tactics, you know, I drew a snowman on a T-shirt, like an angry snowman on a T-shirt, and made some shirts and gave them to the bootleggers in New York, and it became a thing. That snowman T-shirt became a thing, and so. I learned a valuable lesson. Like he was able to get a clothing line, and even 20 years later, if I go to a Jeezy show, that snowman logo is up there. So a great lesson for me was like your intellectual property, your creative IP is a thing. And how do you measure that? So having an agency now, when I'm looking at clients or we're creating campaigns, like really paying attention to the value that we're bringing them, to know how to measure it and how to charge for it. Like, what is that really worth? So that was a hard lesson, but good. Like, and I'm happy that I was able to create something that
has went down in history.
It's like, you know, affected culture in the way that it has. I'm like, I'm proud.
You're passionate about the culture.
So I'm not like upset about it at all, but it was definitely a lesson in like your creativity. There's value there. It's not because it comes from your brain and it comes out your mouth. Like there's no way to measure it, but there is. And so make sure that you are charging double plus tax.
What is like your creative process? Like when you get ready to create something, what is your creative process, or do you have one?
I think everything is all different, right? Sometimes I'm like listening to music. I really dig into like me and like my girls or my community, my friends. Like, what are we talking about? What's important to us? What are we listening to? What are topics that come up in our regular conversations? So I lean into like my real life experiences, my real life friends, my real life community, and that's like where I draw all of my inspiration from. Because a lot of times we're doing consumer campaigns, we're speaking to people who look like us, and so I always want to be authentic about what we're putting out, because they're gonna, our people gonna tell us when it's fake and fraudulent and ain't cool, it ain't hot. So it's like if it's stuff that we're talking about, things that are important to us, our passion points, that's what I bring to a campaign.
And you bring all the flyness and everything. So, like, do you feel like
y'all see this?
Do you see this? Okay. Y'all, I'm trying to get in that closet.
Okay. All right.
Do you feel like because you came out of New York, that your fashion and your hustler spirit, because I mean it goes hand in hand. Like you fly in and you hustle.
Thank you for y'all see this. It's funny that you say that. So I worked at a label, a record company, and like again, like music we create the music industry really sets the tone for culture. A lot of times you're looking at your favorite artist, your favorite rapper or whatever. What are they wearing? What's, I don't know, what's Future wearing?
Yeah.
When Jay-Z took off the jersey and started wearing button-down shirts. Like,
Yeah.
that is culture creating. And so working at a label, especially in the marketing department, you are the ones really creating that culture, whether it's fashion or music or, Rihanna cutting her hair short and dyeing it black from blonde. Like, those are fashion cultural moments.
Yeah.
And so working in that space, when I first started, I felt like I was a tomboy. Like, I wore sneakers and that was my thing. But when I started to work more on brand building for my artists, I started to get into fashion more and get into aesthetics more. And so that really inspired my passion for like looks and aesthetic and things like that. Also, we talked earlier about working in a male dominated industry, being young and having the position that I did. I a lot of times had bosses or leaders who needed me to show up for the job I wanted, not for the job I had.
Okay.
So sometimes walking into an executive office in a sweatshirt and hoodie, like I said, they don't think that you're supposed to have the intelligence or the smarts, or they're supposed to listen to you in the way. And so sometimes I had to like show up differently because I wanted a different response from my bosses. And sometimes that's a bad thing when it's not comfortable for you, but I actually liked it. I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna take off the Jordans.
Yeah.
And I'm
Y'all want, yeah.
And I kind of like this.
Yeah.
Like, this is okay.
And now I can't get away from it.
Yeah, and they're going to treat me differently, and I'm going to be, they're going to listen to me in a different way or respect my opinion when I say this artist needs to look like this or this is what this cover needs to look like. And so, again, sometimes I think, sometimes it could be challenging for some people in those spaces where they feel like they have to code switch.
Yeah.
And for me, I fell into it because I started to love fashion. Yeah,
and now we know you head over heels. Like, what's your staple in your in the way that you dress? What would you say you cannot not have? Like, is it a shoe? Is it a bag? Is it an earring?
I've always been like a big hoop ear. I don't have them on today, but I'm a bamboo earring girl. So if you look at photos of me throughout the years, except for today, you will likely see me in a pair. That feels like Queens to me. That feels like New York to me. That feels like home to me. So my staple, I think, like in a fashion piece, is a pair of bamboo earrings.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm finna get in your business a little bit. I gotta get in your business before we leave.
Okay.
So, how hard is it to date, being that the woman that you are, or is it hard? You know what I mean? Because I can imagine that it could be very intimidating for some men, Shauna. Because let's just be honest, like you have the bank account, you have the house, you have the cars, you have the business. You know what I mean? And then you have that. You could give off like, I don't need you, So
I want you to think about that question too, because I want you to answer it as well. But, how hard is it, or is it hard? It's a challenge. It is definitely a challenge. I think that as a man, I think men always want to show up as the provider and the head of the household, and almost like a savior, right?
Yeah.
A little bit. And I think for a lot of men that equates to money. And I think it's hard to make a lot of men understand that for certain women that does not have to equate to money.
Right.
It can equate to time. It can equate to
Affection.
encouragement, affection, words of encouragement, acts of service. Like, it can show up.
Rub my back when I come in. Yeah,
it can show up so many different ways. And so it's definitely a challenge to break that mentality for a lot of men, that you don't have to show up for me with money. You can.
It's nice.
Very nice. I got bills. But that's not a requirement, right? There's a different requirement. And it's a challenge to like break that mentality, because I think a lot of men have been raised to, or have seen, like, we got to go out there, we got to work, we got to bring home the money, we got to hold down a house. And it's like, you can hold down a house in a lot of different ways. That can mean a lot of different things.
Yeah, money is just a tool.
Yeah, so it's definitely a challenge. I think, but bigger than that challenge is being mindful of that work-life balance, and being mindful in all of this drive and this like this goal setting, and I gotta accomplish this and all of that to like take a minute to take care of your heart, right? Because it's like I know when I put in 100% in my business, I'm gonna get back. I know what I'm gonna get back.
Yeah.
But sometimes when you stop to say, right, I'm gonna put 100% into this relationship, you don't know what you're gonna get back.
Yeah, that's true.
And so that for me has been a bigger challenge than, being successful or having my own bag or whatever. Mm-hmm. The biggest challenge for me is like really making the effort to give 100% to a relationship, because you don't, you dealing with somebody else and what their intention is and what they got going on, and you don't know what you're gonna get. You could be the purest and give 200% to it, but you don't know what you're gonna get back. It's really on them what they wanna give, and so that for me is the biggest thing, because I know when I invest in my business what I'm gonna get back. I don't know what I'm gonna get back when I you. Excuse me, can we curse? Sorry.
Oh, y'all seen it, right? It started to come out, baby. She tried to get turned up about that part.
Sorry.
No, it's cool.
Podcast.
No, it's cool.
But that's not true.
Yeah. So, do you want to get married?
I do. I want to get married. I want to have children. I want to do all of those things.
Yeah, really?
I do. I am waiting on the Lord.
Father, can you do something for me?
Please, Lord. You know my heart desires. Yeah. So I'm being patient. Mm-hmm. I'm being patient. It's like, but I'm also like, I know that there's a difference between being patient and being proactive. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes really I'm not proactive, because again, it's like, I know if I dedicate the next year to this, I know what I'm gonna get out of it. If I dedicate a year to this.
So do you think there's like a sense of fear? Have you ever been hurt before and you feel like now you kind of like apprehensive about it? Or you just feel like it's not even on my to-do list?
I feel like I don't think I'm apprehensive, but I'm definitely, it's not a priority. Mm-hmm. Although that is being married and having kids is a desire, the effort to work on it is not a priority.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that's good or bad, but it's not.
I mean, if it's not a priority, you got to kind of put out there what you want to come back. And then if it's not a priority, you really asking God to just place somebody in your life.
Yeah, I'm waiting on the Lord. I'm waiting on the Lord. God, you know my heart.
Has there ever been a time?
Wait. Well, what about you? Have you felt like being a boss, being a leader, being confident, being strong? Do you feel like that has been a challenge for you in like meeting the right partner, or like being open to relationships?
Now trying to like coming home. Prior to going there, I've always messed with dope boys. Mm-hmm. So dope boys had that. Mm-hmm. And I am the type of woman. You can't give me an inch. You give me an inch, I'm taking a mile. I'm acting like a cowgirl. I'm going crazy. You know what I mean? That's me. But since being home, it hasn't really been my focus. You know what I mean? My focus is getting back, trying to create a life for myself. I don't have a 401k. You know what I mean? I don't have anything left for Brad and Jermaine and then the grandkids. So it hasn't really been like, but I did meet somebody like super cool, total opposite of what I'm used to. Didn't think he would last more than 6 months.
I love that. I love that.
But it was definitely out of the scope. Not a street dude, a working dude. Who would ever thought that me and my ways, because I can be a little spoiled, and we know I have a couple habits, but I don't know, and it just kind of like just happened. So I'm just like kind of going with the, going with the flow, going to see, where it leads. Yeah,
I love it, because we can't be like. We have to have there has to be a balance.
I like the way she just got in my business, y'all. Yeah, I really like the way she just got in my business.
Yeah, we're the same. We are the same personality. So those same traits, those same like aggressive, strong,
we
A-type
definitely
female.
Can be.
It's the same thing. So I imagine the same to be for you. But I'm glad you stepped away from your norm to allow yourself to experience something new, which is working.
And you know what? It just kind of like happened.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just kind of like happened. So, you know, I'm going with the flow. Ain't nothing like I ain't about to get married or nothing like that. I ain't having no kids, anything like that. But I'm just trying to be different in my life and just, you know, building. You know, if it goes on, it goes on.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, then you know,
Yeah.
it doesn't. But
Yeah.
I am being open.
Good. Good. Yes. We like
So
that.
yeah. So like about difficulty, have there been times where I know there's been times. How do you get through working with difficult people? And tell me about the time you was difficult with someone.
Oh well. How do I get through working with difficult people? I am that's a good question. How do I get through working with difficult people? I feel like I am good at disarming people, right? Because I think when you see me coming, you expect something. You expect like aggressive, you expect all the things that I am for sure. But I am not without humility and strategy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like I'm really good at disarming people. Like if I know that you're ready for all that I'm bringing, I can turn that off and be warm and be humble and you know all the other things like caring and all of those things, so that you don't have to show up for me like that.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so like take the guard down.
Yeah. I think I'm really good at knowing how and when to take the guard down to get to my destination.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So I think that's it. Like I don't mind saying, you know what, I'm sorry. You know what, you're right, even if you're not.
Yeah,
you know, I could do that. I don't have an ego in that way. When it's time to get something done or accomplish a goal, I can. Got it.
I'll let you have it.
Got it.
And when was there a time you were difficult with someone?
You know, I remember I said like I grew up like I was like, you know, took care of my younger siblings. I was a latchkey kid. I was like super independent. And so when I started working at Def Jam, there was a lot of regime changes when I started. When I started, the person who hired me offered me the position, and by the time I started a month later, they were gone, and there was a whole new regime in place. And so I had to figure out how to make myself useful. I had to figure out how to make myself valuable. Like I had to figure it out because the person who hired me knew my value, but this new person here don't know me.
Right.
So they like, let me see what you can do. So I had to really work hard to like prove myself. So then there was another regime change when Jay and his crew came in. And by that point, I was maybe a year in, and I felt like, I got this shit.
Yeah.
This stuff, I can't curse. I got this, right?
Yeah.
Like I done figured it out. I got my artists. They love me. I done figured out how to navigate in this major label. And so when that crew came in, I was very much like, y'all ain't telling me nothing. I don't want to hear it. I got it.
Yeah.
And I had to allow myself to like be taught, be nurtured. I had to allow myself to let them take me in, and they took great care of me. They were a great team of people who looked out for me and loved me and like understood my value. But coming in, I was like, y'all ain't coming here to tell me what to do because I've been here a year and y'all just got here, and that was my attitude.
Yeah.
Like, I got this. Like, it took me, you know, a year to like prove myself, and now everybody knows how great I am. Yeah, I ain't starting over. and so that was like I had to like take that guard down and like allow them to pull me in, right? I didn't have to like stand on my own and be on this island because I got it. It's like, okay, I can rock with y'all. Y'all can rock. Like we will be much better together.
Yeah, than we are apart.
Yeah.
Who was your favorite artist to work with?
My favorite artist to work with Wu-Tang Clan. So working with Wu-Tang Clan, it was my first paying job coming out of high school, my first paying job in the music industry, and they were groundbreakers, right? Like RZA was a genius creative, but also a genius businessman. Those guys were wildly creative. Like they were shooting $1 million videos. They were doing all kind of creative business deals. They had clothing lines and all kinds of stuff. They were all over the world. Like I traveled the world with them at 17, 18 years old. So, so that was like that experience, like
an exposure.
Like I could rule the world. Right? If I could travel with 9 rappers who are all successful in their own right, all superstars in their own right, I can move them from Staten Island to Japan by
Yeah.
myself as an 18-year-old girl.
Oh, wow,
I can do
Shauna.
whatever I want to do.
Yeah.
I can run the world.
Yeah.
So they were my favorite.
You were at Def Jam when Shakir was there.
I was.
And like, what was that loss for you, and how did you deal with because of his spirit and you know how he was with everyone?
So remember I said earlier that I had a lot of people, and particularly men, who championed me, who said I got you, who said like what you need, I'm a bet on you, who said like you're smart, you're great, you got this, and he was one of the biggest people like that for me in my life. That was one of my closest friends. We did incredible things together. And he was a star. He was also one of the first people that I knew who weren't an artist, but when showed up, like lit up a room, and could get a whole company to move. Right, when he came into a meeting and he had an idea, he knew how to sell it to us in a way that we believe. If he said that sky is purple, and I'm gonna tell y'all why, and I'm gonna show y'all how, and what, and we like, you know what?
The sky purple.
It's purple. Right? Like he had a energy about him. He was a superstar, and so. We just, that was like, he was a really important person in my life and a part of my growth. Because like I said, he was one of the people who said my first contract, I was an employee. I was getting a check every 2 weeks, but my first employment contract where they said, I'm going to give you a contract that says we work together for the next 3 years and this is your salary. And if we fire you, we got to pay you out. Like my first real executive contract, he taught me how to go and negotiate, right? That was my guy. And so it was an incredible loss for me because you need those kind of people in your life, especially as a young person navigating your way through the music business. And you don't meet people like that often, but he was that for me. And so I carry that spirit. When you asked earlier, like, where does the hustle or that like willingness to be a support come from? Like he's a big part of that because he don't know me from Adam, but he knew, he believed.
Yeah.
He
like, seen something in you that you didn't see yourself.
My rap Jeezy and all my artists that I'm bringing in here that he had to carry on his back. He's like, I know you gonna take care of them. I know you got me, and we had each other. And so that was a great relationship that I had with him. That was an incredible loss, but definitely a lesson too because he taught me how to be with my team and how to support and encourage them in the way he did for me.
How do you deal with all the phoniness that go on in the industry? Because it's a lot of fake and phony people.
Yeah.
I mean, not just in the industry. Like, there's a lot of fake and phony people around, but being in that environment.
Yeah. How do I deal with it? I am really blessed that I have a great foundation. I have 3 sisters who remind me every day, like, I don't care who you are and what you have. You are just Ashaunna. Don't get it twisted.
Which one give it to you more, Jarena?
Oh my God. I told my sister I was going to Harvard. I got accepted to this Harvard program. She was like, girl, you ain't getting, like, she is like so not impressed with anything that I do. And so that keeps me humble. And just like being around like my friends, like people, like I am attracted to real people.
Yeah.
And so being around real people all the time keeps me grounded, and it doesn't allow the fake and phony people to
even
to me.
penetrate in.
Like you see that a mile away. And when you've been around it so long, doing it so long, it's like you can see it from a mile away. And that's when that like, okay, you got it.
Yeah. What does God mean to you?
Oh, God is everything to me. God is the first section of my business plan is God. Anytime I get an opportunity, I pray about it. Like God is in my business plan, in my heart. He drives every decision that I make. That is my foundation and my core for sure.
And then before we go, I have to ask you this. This is break free. So tell me one thing that you feel like you're in bondage to and you need to break free from.
What am I in bondage to? I definitely think I have a challenge with, or I'm in bondage to, over delivering to people who probably don't deserve it.
Yeah.
That's something that I need to learn how to let go sooner right? I don't know if I'll ever not be that person to like, I'm gonna try again, I'm gonna try 7 times.
Yeah.
But maybe I could try 4 times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then let it go instead of getting to 7. That's one thing. I also think a little bit, I think this is something that I think I'm realizing as I'm having this conversation with you. Being in bondage to my career because it's a safe space. Right? I love it, and so I don't want to not be in it, or I don't have any regrets or resentment to it, but I don't want to be in bondage to it because it's safer than anything. It's safer than being open to a relationship, or chasing, safer than trying motherhood, or safer than, you know what I mean? I think like, it just made me think about that. Like,
oh wow, yeah.
It could be a security blanket, right? Because I know, like I said, I know what I'm gonna get when I invest in my business. You know, the other thing is you don't know.
Yeah.
And so I love it, and that doesn't mean that I have no regrets, but making sure that it's not a crutch,
right?
Because I'm avoiding another thing that I may have a passion for or want that I'm not
putting 100% in.
Yeah.
Well, that's dope. I could take that. Yeah.
What about you?
Girl, I'm in bondage to yelling.
Okay.
Yeah, if someone asks me the same question twice, Shauna, I'm yelling the second time.
Yeah.
And then even like sometime, one day Bob had to tell me, like, he said it in front of everybody else. He called me later on and he was like, we're not doing that anymore. I was like, we're not doing what? He's like, we're not going back in front of, and forth in front of people. He's like, they're yelling. Like, I'm not your child.
Yeah.
But it just, when I'm passionate about something and something, next thing you know, I'm yelling. Even my mom, like, I just always done it. And it's not cool to say you've always been that way. But I'm in bondage to that, girl. I am yelling.
Okay.
I am going off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I thank you for coming today.
Thank you
and
for
I enjoyed you.
me.
And I wouldn't have a building, guys, if it wasn't
Yes,
for
you
Shauna.
would. Yes, you would. You absolutely would. Yes, you would.
But I thank you again, Shauna. Thank you for sharing your time and your life.
Thanks for having me. I can't wait to see this episode.
Me either.
And all the episodes.
Right, and all the sponsorships that's going to come.
Yes. And the network that's going to pick it up.
Oh,
yay.
All the things.
Yes.
I'll never forget the reel you sent me. You sent me a reel from Pastor Mike Johnson like a couple months ago. And he was like, even if you're scared, I'm speaking it for you. Like, you're going to be blessed. Your house going to be blessed. Like, so, like, sometimes I go back, and just, like, listen to that. So I'm believing God for, like, huge things. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, to show them, like, we can rock.
Yeah.
Well, guys, there you have it. The great Ashaunna Ayars, the motivator, the girl that gets it done. Thank you for joining me. And remember, it's always delusion until they see it happen. I'll see y'all next time.